March 5th, 2022. A tourist hiking near Mount Nasu in Japan stops dead in her tracks. In front of her lies an ancient stone, split cleanly in two. The sacred rope that once bound it lies coiled on the ground like a dead snake. She posts a photo to Twitter with trembling hands. "I feel like I've seen something that shouldn't be seen." The tweet goes viral. Over 180,000 retweets. Because this isn't just any rock. This is the Sessho-seki, the killing stone. And according to 900-year-old legend, it contains the spirit of Japan's most dangerous demon, a nine-tailed fox who seduced an emperor, nearly destroyed a nation, and was finally trapped in stone by a Buddhist monk. Now, for the first time in 9 centuries, the seal is broken. This is the story of Tamamo-no-Mae, the most beautiful woman who ever lived, and the monster beneath her perfect face. Let's go back, way back. To understand Tamamo-no-Mae, you need to understand the kitsune, the fox spirits of Japanese mythology. In ancient Japan, foxes weren't just animals. They were sacred, mysterious, dangerous. Ordinary foxes lived short lives, dying after maybe 10 years. But some foxes lived longer. And when a fox reaches 100 years old, something magical happens. It grows a second tail. And with that tail comes power. The power to shapeshift. The power to create fire from thin air. The power to possess human minds. Every 100 years, another tale appears. Another century of life. Another century of wisdom. Another ability unlocked. By the time a fox reaches 900 years old, 9 tails, it becomes something beyond mortal comprehension. It can see anything happening anywhere in the world. It can hear whispers from across oceans. Some say its fur turns white or gold, shimmering like starlight. 9 tails means infinite intelligence, infinite cunning, and infinite ambition. This is what Tamamo-no-Mae was. A Kyubi no kitsune, a 9-tailed fox. And she had been playing a very long game. The year is 1140. The Heian period. Kyoto, the imperial capital of Japan, gleams with golden temples and silk banners. Emperor Konoe sits on the chrysanthemum throne. He's young, barely 20 years old, but carries the weight of an entire nation. His court is filled with nobles scheming for power, monks debating philosophy, artists competing for his favor. And then she appears. No one knows where she came from. One day she simply arrives. A young woman, maybe 20 years old, applying to serve at court. Her name, Tamamo-no-Mae. Lady Jewel. From the moment she enters the imperial palace, everyone notices. Her beauty is unsettling. Not in an obvious way, but in the way that makes you unable to look away. Her face has what the Japanese call kitsune gao, fox face, narrow features, high cheekbones, eyes that seem to hold secrets. Close set, intelligent, piercing. But it's not just her looks. Her clothes never wrinkle, never get dirty. Even after walking through dust, her kimono remains pristine, as if reality itself refuses to mar her. Her body always smells wonderful, not of perfume, something natural, like flowers that bloom only at night. Intoxicating. And her knowledge is impossible. The court scholars test her. They ask about astronomy. She recites the positions of every star, every planet, predicting eclipses years in advance with perfect accuracy. They ask about music. She plays instruments they've never heard of, from countries they've barely imagined exist. They ask about religion. She debates Buddhist monks, Shinto priests, even the occasional visiting scholar from China. She never loses. One nobleman asks her about an obscure text written 300 years ago in a dialect no one speaks anymore. She quotes it from memory, perfectly. "How can you know so much?" they whisper. She smiles. "I've lived a very long time." Everyone laughs. She looks 20, but her eyes look ancient. Emperor Konoe is captivated. Who wouldn't be? This woman is perfection incarnate. Beauty, intelligence, grace, mystery. Everything a man could desire wrapped in human form. He keeps her by his side constantly, at dinners, at ceremonies, in his private chambers. His advisors begin to worry. The emperor is obsessed. He barely sleeps, barely eats, barely performs his duties. He only wants to be with Tamamo-no-Mae. "She's dangerous," they mutter. "She's magnificent," Konoe replies. Months pass, a year, 2 years, and then the emperor gets sick. It starts subtly. Konoe feels weak, tired. His skin turns pale. He can't keep food down. Fevers come and go without pattern. The court physicians try everything. Herbal remedies, acupuncture, bloodletting. Nothing works. Priests are summoned. They chant sutras. They burn incense. They perform elaborate rituals invoking Buddha, invoking the kami spirits. The emperor's condition worsens. Fortune tellers cast their bones, read their cards, study their charts. None of them can explain what's happening. Konoe is dying, slowly, mysteriously. And no one knows why. Enter Abe no Yasuchika. He's the imperial astrologer, descendant of Abe no Seimei, the most famous onmyoji, practitioner of esoteric cosmology, in Japanese history. If anyone can solve this mystery, it's him. Abe no Yasuchika doesn't trust Tamamo-no-Mae, never has. He remembers something strange. One night, during a state dinner, a strong wind blew through the palace. All the candles extinguished at once. The room plunged into darkness. Everyone gasped. Servants scrambled to relight the candles. But Abe no Yasuchika noticed something. In that moment of total darkness, there was still light. Coming from Tamamo-no-Mae's head. A soft, eerie glow. Like foxfire, the phosphorescent flames that appear over graves and swamps. The kind of light associated with spirits, with yokai, with things that shouldn't exist in the human world. When the candles were relit, the glow vanished. Tamamo-no-Mae smiled serenely, as if nothing had happened. No one else saw it. But Abe no Yasuchika did. Now, with the emperor dying and no explanation in sight, he decides to act. He prepares the Taizan Fukun no Sai, the most powerful, most secret ritual in all of Onmyodo. A ceremony so sacred, so dangerous, that only the purest hearts can perform it without catastrophic consequences. And he invites Tamamo-no-Mae to participate. "It will increase your standing at court," the emperor's ministers tell her. "Everyone will admire your devotion." She hesitates. For the first time, her perfect composure cracks. Just for a second. Her eyes dart toward the door, calculating, measuring escape routes. But she has no choice. Refusing would be suspicious, so she agrees. The night of the ritual arrives. The palace is silent. Only the most trusted members of court attend. Abe no Yasuchika draws elaborate symbols on the floor in sacred ash. Candles burn in a perfect circle. Incense fills the air, thick and cloying. Tamamo-no-Mae enters, dressed even more beautifully than usual. Her kimono shimmers like moonlight on water. Her hair is adorned with golden ornaments. She takes her place in the ritual circle. Abe no Yasuchika begins the chant. Ancient words, words of power, words that compel truth, that strip away illusion, that force spirits to reveal their true nature. Tamamo-no-Mae recites her part flawlessly. Her voice is beautiful, melodic, perfect. But as the ritual reaches its climax, as Abe no Yasuchika prepares the final gesture, waving the sacred Gohei staff, something changes. The air grows cold, the candles flicker. A wind rises from nowhere, howling through the sealed chamber. Tamamo-no-Mae's eyes widen. Not in fear, in rage, she drops the ceremonial staff and vanishes. Not slowly, not gradually. She simply ceases to be there. One moment standing in the circle, the next, gone. The court erupts in chaos. What was she? Someone screams. Abe no Yasuchika, breathing heavily, speaks the words everyone already knows, but doesn't want to believe. A kitsune, a nine-tailed fox. And she's been feeding on the Emperor's life force this entire time. News spreads fast. A demon has infiltrated the imperial court, has seduced the Emperor, has nearly killed him, and now it's on the loose. But where? Reports start coming in from Nasuno, a remote region several days' journey from Kyoto. A place of volcanic mountains, sulfurous springs, and dark forests. Peasants are disappearing. Women, children, vanishing in the night without a trace. Travelers find strange tracks in the snow, fox prints, but impossibly large, with 9 distinct tail drag marks behind them. The court sorcerers perform divination. All signs point to the same conclusion. Tamamo-no-Mae has fled to Nasuno, and she's killing anyone who gets close. Emperor Konoe, still weak but slowly recovering now that the fox's influence is gone, makes a decision. She must be destroyed. He summons the greatest warriors in Japan, samurai, archers, swordmasters, men who have faced down armies, who have never known defeat. 2 names rise above all others, Kazusa-no-Suke and Miura-no-Suke, brothers in arms, if not in blood. Warriors so skilled that songs are sung about their exploits. Kazusa-no-Suke with his bow. They say he can shoot the wings off a dragonfly at 100 paces. Miura-no-Suke with his sword, forged from a fallen star, or so the legend goes. Find the fox, the Emperor commands. Kill her. Bring me proof. I will reward you with lands, titles, gold. Anything you desire. Kazusa-no-Suke bows. We require no reward, Your Majesty. Only the honor of serving. The Emperor gives them an army. 80,000 men, soldiers, support staff, provisions. Everything needed to wage war against a single target. Because this isn't just any target. This is a demon that has lived 900 years. That has toppled kingdoms. That cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bargained with, cannot be stopped by conventional means. They march to Nasuno. The journey takes weeks, through mountains, across rivers, into increasingly hostile territory. The land itself seems wrong here. Trees grow twisted. The sky looks darker, even at noon. Birds don't sing. When they finally reach the plains of Nasu, they find a wasteland. The ground is scorched, dead. Nothing grows. The air reeks of sulfur. In the distance, smoke rises from volcanic vents, creating an otherworldly fog that hangs low over everything. And somewhere in that fog, Tamamo-no-Mae waits. The hunt begins. At first, it's a disaster. The fox is too fast, too clever, too powerful. She appears as a beautiful woman, luring soldiers away from the main group. They follow, enchanted, and are never seen again. She transforms into animals, a deer, leading archers on wild chases that end with men stumbling into volcanic pits. A bird, flying overhead, drawing groups into ambushes where the ground suddenly opens into steaming fissures. She creates illusions. Entire sections of the army see things that aren't there. Villages, allies, safety. And march off cliffs, into bogs, into traps. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. The 80,000-man army dwindles. Men die, men desert. Men go mad, claiming they hear her voice in their dreams, whispering promises, threats, truths they don't want to know. Kazusanosuke and Muranosuke refuse to give up. They can't. To return in failure would be disgrace worse than death. They train harder, study the fox's patterns, learn from each mistake. They stop sleeping at the same times, stop eating the same food, eliminate every possible vulnerability. They pray to the kami, to Buddha, to anyone or anything that might help them kill a demon. And one night, Muranosuke has a dream. In the dream, Muranosuke stands in a garden. Cherry blossoms fall like snow. The air smells sweet. A young woman approaches, beautiful, delicate, tears streaming down her face. It's Tamamo-no-Mae, but not the cold, calculating creature he's been hunting. This version looks vulnerable, human, lost. She falls to her knees before him. "Please," she whispers, "tomorrow I will die by your hand. I've seen it. The paths of fate have narrowed. This is the end of my story. But I beg you, show me mercy. Spare me." Muranosuke stares down at her. In the dream, he feels pity. She looks like a frightened girl, not a 900-year-old demon. But then he remembers the dead villagers, the destroyed families, the emperor's suffering, all the lives this creature has ruined across centuries. "No," he says quietly, "you've lived long enough. Tomorrow, you die." The woman, the fox, looks up at him. Her tears stop. Her expression shifts, not to anger, to resignation, almost relief. "I understand," she says. "I'm tired. So very tired. Thank you for ending it." She fades. The garden fades. Muranosuke wakes. He tells Kazusanosuke about the dream. His companion nods grimly. Then today is the day. They gather their remaining men, barely 1,000 now, out of the original 80,000. They march into the wasteland one final time. And there, standing in the center of a volcanic plain, is a fox. Not in human form, in her true form. She's magnificent, terrible. Her fur is white as winter snow, tinged with gold at the tips. 9 tails spread behind her like a peacock's fan, each one moving independently, hypnotically. She's larger than any normal fox, almost the size of a horse. Her eyes glow with intelligence, with power, with something that transcends mortality. She doesn't run. She's done running. Kazusanosuke notches an arrow, the most important shot of his life. His hands don't shake. He whispers a prayer to the bow, to the arrow, to the gods who might be listening. He releases. The arrow flies true. It strikes the fox in her flank, piercing deep. She stumbles. Blood, red, painfully ordinary blood, stains her white fur. Muranosuke charges. His sword catches the dim sunlight. He covers the distance in seconds. The fox turns to face him, mouth opening, perhaps to speak, perhaps to curse, perhaps to beg. The sword falls. It's over. The 9-tailed fox collapses. Her body twitches once, twice, then goes still. For a moment, the warriors don't move. They can't believe it. After all this time, after so much death, it's actually over. Kazusanosuke approaches carefully, bow still ready for one more shot if needed. But the fox doesn't move, can't move. Muranosuke kneels beside her. Even in death, she's beautiful. He feels that strange pity again. Not for what she was, a demon, a killer, but for what she might have been in another life, with different choices. "It's done," Kazusanosuke says softly. They return to Kyoto as heroes. The emperor rewards them with land, gold, titles. Songs are composed about their bravery. But the story doesn't end there. 1 year after the fox's death, Emperor Konoe dies. Suddenly, mysteriously, without an heir. The following year, former Emperor Toba, Konoe's father, and Tamamo-no-Mae's other victim, dies as well. Their deaths trigger a succession crisis. Rival factions fight for the throne: the Fujiwara clan, the Minamoto clan. Old alliances shatter. New enemies emerge. The conflict escalates into the Hogan Rebellion, then the Heiji Rebellion, and eventually the devastating Genpei War. A civil war that will last for decades and reshape Japan forever. Some historians say this was all political, inevitable. But others whisper, did Tamamo-no-Mae plan this? Did she know that killing her would only delay the chaos she intended to cause? That her death would trigger exactly the succession crisis she'd been engineering? A demon's revenge from beyond the grave. Meanwhile, in Nasuno, something strange happens. The spot where the fox died becomes cursed. A massive boulder appears. No one knows when or how. It simply exists where her body fell. The boulder is dark, porous, volcanic. It sits in the middle of a field of death. No plants grow near it. Animals avoid it. Birds flying overhead drop dead mid-flight and plummet to the ground. Travelers who touch it die within days, their bodies covered in strange burns, their organs liquefied as if cooked from the inside. The locals call it Sessho-seki, the killing stone. They say Tamamo-no-Mae's spirit lives in the rock, trapped but still malevolent, still hungry, still killing. For centuries, no one dares approach it. It becomes a landmark, a warning, a reminder of what happens when demons walk among humans. Until 1653. A Buddhist monk named Geno Shinsho arrives in Nasuno. He's heard the stories, and he believes he can help. Not by destroying the stone. You can't destroy evil by force, he teaches, but by transforming it, by offering the trapped spirit a chance at redemption. He approaches the killing stone. His followers beg him not to. "You'll die," they say. "Everyone who touches it dies." "Then I'll die doing something worthwhile," he replies. He sits before the stone, meditates, chants sutras for hours, for days. And then he strikes the stone with his staff. The stone cracks, the air shimmers. Locals swear they see, just for an instant, the shape of a nine-tailed fox, golden and ethereal, rising from the stone. But instead of fleeing, instead of attacking, it bows to the monk in gratitude, and then it fades, ascending, released at last from centuries of rage and pain and hatred. Geno Shinsho holds a memorial service, not to celebrate the fox's death, but to honor its spirit, to acknowledge its suffering, to offer peace. The killing stone remains. But it stops killing. Plants slowly begin to grow again. Animals return. The curse is broken, or so everyone believes. March 5th, 2022. Nearly 370 years after Geno Shinsho's exorcism. Nearly 900 years after Tamamo-no-Mae's death. A tourist walks up to the Sessho-seki. It's a popular spot now. Historical site. Registered landmark since 1957. People visit, take photos. The area is safe, beautiful even. But on this day, something's different. The stone is split in two. The sacred rope that's bound it for centuries lies broken on the ground. The image goes viral. Social media explodes. Half joking, half terrified, people ask, is Tamamo-no-Mae free? Experts explain it rationally. The stone had cracks for years. Rain seeped in, froze, expanded. Natural weathering, nothing supernatural. But on March 26th, 2022, 3 weeks after the split, local priests perform an emergency ceremony at the site. They wave haragushi purification wands. They make offerings. They chant prayers to appease whatever spirit might have been disturbed. Just a precaution, officials say. But you can see the worry in their eyes. So what do we make of this story? Is Tamamo-no-Mae real? Did a 9-tailed fox really seduce an emperor, nearly destroy Japan, and haunt a stone for 1,000 years? Probably not. At least, not literally. But here's what I think the story is really about. It's about the danger of beauty without substance, of intelligence without morality, of power without compassion. Tamamo-no-Mae was everything people desired. Beautiful, smart, perfect. But beneath that perfection was something hollow, something that fed on others to sustain itself, something that couldn't create, only consume. The story warns us, not everyone who seems perfect has your best interests at heart. Sometimes the most dangerous threats come wrapped in the most attractive packages. And maybe that's why the legend endures. Because we still fall for beautiful lies. We still trust appearances over actions. We still let our desires blind us to red flags. As for the stone splitting in 2022, maybe it's natural weathering. Or maybe, after 900 years, Tamamo-no-Mae finally learned her lesson. Maybe she was released not because the seal broke, but because she earned her freedom. Because even demons can change. Or maybe, just maybe, she's out there right now, walking among us, looking for her next emperor to seduce. Keep your eyes open, and if you meet someone too perfect, too smart, too beautiful, ask yourself, what are they hiding? Next week, we travel to the frozen forests of North America to meet the Wendigo, the spirit of winter hunger that transforms men into monsters. Subscribe so you don't miss it.